All right, let's dive right into this explainer breaking down the Practice Cup Clash for the Crown. It was a totally unforgettable day out there on the lanes. But honestly, the most fascinating part of this whole recap isn't actually about who showed up to bowl, it's about who didn't.
Because to really understand today's scores, we got to talk about the massive elephant not in the room, and that's Herbert Medina. If you follow this league, you know Medina is literally the measuring stick. So, what actually happens to the psychology of a room full of highly competitive bowlers when the top dog just suddenly vanishes?
Well, the immediate aftermath was a massive, sudden power vacuum. It was wild. All of a sudden, that guaranteed top spot on the podium, completely up for grabs. Every single bowler in that building realized, hey, today is my day to claim the crown. And it completely flipped the vibe from just a standard, relaxed morning of bowling into an intense, high-stakes, absolute battle for the top. You could practically sense the blood in the water. The heavy hitters instantly stepped up, and they weren't just playing for a standard win either. No, they were intensely chasing that mythic 700 series mark. With Medina's throne sitting empty, this fierce race to hit 700 completely took over as the defining storyline of the morning. And man, Paul D really capitalized on that moment. He dropped a blistering 264 game. Just think about the crazy precision you need to string together that many consecutive strikes. It was the absolute highest single game we saw all day, sending a super clear message to everyone else. Paul D absolutely came to play. And that massive 264, it propelled Paul D to exactly a 700 series, right on the dot. But then you have his fierce rival, Dennis, who bowled in an incredible series of his own, finishing with a 698. Let that sink in. Dennis agonizingly missed the Elite 700 club by a heartbreaking 2 pins. Literally just one single spare conversion differently, and he's right there. The margins today were just razor thin. Okay, but here's the crazy part. While Paul D and Dennis were locked in this intense, sweaty battle, right at that 700 threshold, just keeping the pressure on all morning, there was one bowler operating on a completely different planet. We're talking about a level of unstoppable, almost scary consistency. Enter Bruce. He took full, totally unapologetic advantage of Medina's absence. Check out these championship games. Game 1, 246. Game 2, 235. Game 3, 245. Look at that. The variance is practically zero. He wasn't relying on one massive lucky spike to pad his stats. He just stood up there and delivered strike after strike with this unbelievable, machine-like precision. Which brings us to his absolutely towering total, 726. Wow. Bruce didn't let up for a single frame, while the rest of the field was fighting tooth and nail just to scrape the bottom of that 700 mark. Bruce completely shattered it. He left absolutely zero doubt about who the champion of the day was. But the story of today isn't just about the champ. Bruce definitely wasn't the only one having a career day. Honestly, the absence of our usual frontrunner seemed to just elevate everybody's game. The rest of the field ended up producing one of the strongest overall scoring days we've seen this entire season. It was like a rising tide lifting all boats, and the sheer depth of the scoring was truly remarkable to watch. Just look at the 600 club. Paul A stayed right in the thick of the hunt, posting a really solid, highly competitive 685. And right behind him, we had Daryl hitting 616, Mark super close at 613, and Wes rounding it out right over the line at 601. So in total, we had 6 bowlers clear that massive 600 hurdle. That's huge. It's a real testament to the overall quality and extreme focus out there today. And amidst all those soaring numbers, we definitely have to shout out Carol's performance too. Being the only woman in the field today, she went out and posted a super solid 554 series. Seeing her out there grinding is a great reminder that the Practice Cup, yeah, it's about the final scores for sure, but it's just as much about that community, that camaraderie, that spirit of the game. So bringing it all together and looking at the final standings, it perfectly captures the story of the day. You've got Bruce's absolute dominance at the top with that 726. You've got that agonizingly tight 2-pin race between Paul D and Dennis, Paul A knocking right on the door, and then a fiercely competitive middle pack holding down the fort. Every single player out there seized the opportunity today. Today really gave us a memorable chapter in the whole Practice Cup saga. We saw absolute career highs, we saw heartbreaking near misses, and we watched a brand new champion step into the spotlight. But, and this is a big but, The power dynamics in this league, they're totally fluid, and they're about to shift all over again. What we saw today is strictly temporary. Because next week, the king comes back. Herbert Medina is expected to return to the lanes, and the anticipation is already through the roof. So the big question is, will Bruce, riding all this momentum from his spectacular 726, actually be able to defend his newly won crown? Or is Medina going to step right back onto the wood and instantly reclaim his throne? I guess we're going to have to tune in next week to find out.